Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, with more Pillar Loves tabletop games. And today, I'm bringing you New Angeles. Game of corporate intrigue, domination, and deception for 4 to 6 players. It's a pretty high minimum. But each player will be taking on the role of a corporation in New Angeles. New Angeles is set in the Android universe. Android is Fantasy Flight Games, cyberpunk setting. I used to have Android. That was an interesting game. But anyway, so at the start of the game, there will be a setup card. That's kind of hard to see. Glare. That will determine where the androids that produce the resources in the game will start. Yeah. Every turn after players are done with bidding on assets leading up to the event, the androids will produce the resources where they're located. And then each district where they were located gets a little bit more upset because they're using androids to as substitute workers, so things are not looking too happy with people there, obviously. There's various figures for representing angry people. Called the Human First. They're trying to destroy the androids. Got organized crime, people that interfere with production. We have private security to keep enemies out. Keep the peace. And then the setup card will also determine how many assets there will be for that first standard round. So each corporation will start with certain cards. For example, Genteki starts with 2 biotech and 1 labor. Each of these cards is an action of some kind. What you're trying to do during the game when you're bidding on your asset is you're trying to present your offer of an action that you want to see resolved, and also get that asset at the same time. Other corporations are going to try to provide issue counteroffers. The first corporation that tries to do a counteroffer does it for free, and then anyone trying to outbid them has to discard cards to do it. And then what players are collectively trying to do is meet the demands. So, hosting World Cup requires no energy, somehow, 1 consumable, 3 tech, 4 entertainment, and 2 credits. What players are trying to do privately is achieve investments such as either producing, making sure things like credits or consumables get produced, or make sure they don't get produced, or have out enemies and outages and other stuff. So after the main offer and counter offer After everyone's had a chance to present their counteroffer, any players except the corporations providing the offer and counteroffer can discard cards to throw their support. So let's say only one player decides to throw a support, and so this main offer wins. So Jinteki will get their asset and their action. Yeah. Yeah. So the action gets resolved before the asset is claimed, and then the active player, because they'll be holding this, has more than 5 cards in hand, they'll discard down. All cards will collectively go to a little trash pile over here until one of these 5 decks runs out. Then they get sorted. This system's a lot like Battlestar Galactica, that board game. Yeah, and then the new active player will flip up this asset, and people will bid, and so on. Now, the player's long-term goal is to achieve our rivalry card, which is to have more capital than the person they consider to be their rival. If you manage to have your own rivalry card, you just have to be in like the top 2, or at least the top 3, depending on how many players there are. However, there's one jerk called the Federalist who wants the game to hit 25 threat, and they have to have 25 capital. As I roll for this game, I use money tokens instead of this tracker because I hate money trackers in general, but also this makes it easier to keep track of whose offers out there. Yeah, threat in this game happens as follows. Every time, whenever an enemy of the same kind would go into a location, it goes into the next one. If an enemy is forced to move, eventually, if it runs into the route, which is a space elevator leading up to the moon, it gains 2 threat. Failing to meet the demand during the demand step will also cause the threat to go up anywhere from 5 to 7. Taking actions in zones with illness tokens adds 2 to the threat unless the card says otherwise. A number of biotech cards can affect districts without to remove the illness tokens without raising the threat, which helps. Yeah. And then finally, events. So after the assets run out, after districts produce and people get more upset about robots taking their jobs, we reveal the event. Your clue to what the event's going to trigger off of is on top. You want to try to keep that down going into it, but this will add more enemies, outages, and illness. So if there are 6 or more districts in protest or strike, increase threat by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the unemployment problem is not angry enough to set off more things. But this card also adds more assets for the next round. So it is a very random length of a game, because these add anywhere from 3 to 5 new asset cards. Eventually, the game will get to the final round, and provided that the threat has not maxed out, then players will resolve their rivalry cards to see who actually wins. It's possible to have multiple winners, but at the very least, one person has to lose, and it is entirely possible for everyone to lose. There's a reason why I call this game Pandemic for Bastards. It's a game of trying to focus on getting your own stuff in a position to help you win, but you need to cooperate to some degree so that shit doesn't get out of control and end the game. And just the way things move as well. Why do I like this game? Precisely because of that nature of, without teamwork you won't survive, but without betrayal you won't win. Like, Cutthroat Caverns comes to mind in that end. Also, I like Cyberpunk. Need more Cyberpunk goodness. I've got Infamy. I've got this. Neuroshima Hex isn't quite close enough to Cyberpunk. It's more post-apocalyptic. But, it is a tough game, and it's a long game. But I think it's also a good game. Precisely because of the strategies involved. Something the corporations also have, they've got their contract with the city, so that when things get removed, when unrest gets reduced, when events are not disastrous, they get money. So it benefits them to benefit the city. But a lot of these cards are like, either they solve a small problem, or they replace a big problem with a small problem of a different nature. The corporations also have access to emergency actions. You can make it your main offer, and if it succeeds, it resolves, and you no longer have access to it for the remainder of the game. Unless there's ways to get it back, but you can't really rely on that. But yeah, New Angeles, it's an interesting game. Look at that. Is it fun? It might be fun seeing some of the things that happen, and also like messing with someone else's plan. Oh yeah, you can trade assets and capital. It's like, dude, I'll give you like $3 for this guy. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. If it's time to get the game, I hope you have fun with it. It's been Pillar Nexus. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.